Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stuff Between My Ears. I'm Kyle Berry. Today we're going to talk a little bit about politics. I haven't done a political video in a while, but this one was way overdue. And I meant to do it last week, but I fell under the weather and had trouble talking. So it didn't happen, obviously, and that's why. So today we're going to do it, and we're going to be talking about Trump. And I've defended Trump before, and I don't necessarily regret doing that, but I think Trump needs a little scrutiny that he's not really getting right now. So that's what we're going to do today. Now, I've heard, you've probably heard Trump derangement syndrome used, and usually that's being used to people on the left who are just, freaking out because Trump did something, and, it doesn't matter what he did, like they're there to twist it and make it, perverted. And I defended Trump from a lot of things like that. Like I think it was in Charleston when he said there's fine people on both sides of the aisle. And people made a big deal about that because they were like, he meant Nazis. Even though the very next words out of his mouth were, not those Nazis and white supremacists. But I'm starting to find out that it seems like, especially among right-wing pundits, that there's a lot of Trump derangement syndrome on the right as well. And what I mean by that is there's just a lot of enthrallment and just rosy glasses in regard to Trump. And I think Charlie Kirk has it, and Jack Posobiec has it, and, among other people. And they just refuse to see the flaws of Trump. Where in a situation where if someone other than Trump was saying what Trump was saying or doing what Trump was doing, they would be on the opposite side of the issue from him, and they would roundly, condemn them. But Trump gets an exception because he was cheated out of an election in 2020, and he's being indicted unjustly. And while those things are happening, that doesn't mean he should be president again. Because the truth is that Trump is a swamp creature. And maybe he always has been, and we just didn't see it in 2016. I don't know. I don't really care. But right now, he definitely is a swamp creature. And so that's what we're going to look at. Because people promote Trump, and Trump promotes himself as doing these two things. He's going to drain the swamp, and he's going to stand against the establishment and be the outside guy. That's what he's been running on. That's the image he projects, and that's just not what he does. So I'm going to try not to be all over the place, but it could be, because I just pulled up a bunch of stuff that I had bookmarked from my Twitter and tried to organize it. So hopefully it's kind of in some kind of order. This is not meant to be a comprehensive list of all of Trump's sins. But it is to be an exhaustive case against Trump and why he should not be the GOP nominee. So, in May, I think this is the 25th. No, the 30th, I'm sorry. On May 30th, Trump put out a video on Rumble and said he was going to end birthright citizenship via executive order on day one of his new term. Now, I agree, there's a lot of problems with birthright citizenship right now. When it was put into law, it certainly had its reasons, and it was a good law and served a good purpose, but it's not doing that anymore, and lots of people are abusing it. I've seen it being been abused, and can certainly point to loads of examples. So, it's not that the law itself, I think the law itself needs to be looked at and revised and stuff. Trump says he wants to end it via executive order on day one of his new term. That's one of the things he's pushing as of May the 30th. The problem is, this law is the 14th Amendment. Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Now, I can't wait until they do this with the Second Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. Well, it kind of already did the Fourth Amendment, but You can't just walk out and say that you're going to write an executive order and override a constitutional amendment. That's clearly not how it works. And I don't know if Trump is stupid or if he thinks we're stupid, but this is just a thing to rile up people and to say it's something he's going to get done. But he can't get it done. Not that way. Not without repealing the 14th Amendment or that sentence of the 14th Amendment. So he's just talking out of the side of his mouth. The big thing that Trump has always run on since 2016 was he's going to drain the swamp. He's going to drain the swamp. He's against the establishment. He's, he's got all this money, so he's outside the realm of influence and stuff like that. But Trump's a swamp creature. And he supports people in the swamp. He supported Ronald McDaniel, who was the chair of the GOP, over Army Dillon. And Trump says, well, she got, that is, Ronald McDaniel got, the most votes that we've ever had for a Republican president. And it's like, yes, and lost. And frankly, she has overseen a very lackluster 6 years. The way that Biden polled and Democrats polled in the 2018, 2020, 2022 years, they should have gotten slaughtered in House races and Senate races. And yet the only thing that Republicans were able to eke out was a very slim majority in the House of Representatives. And the reason why that is bad leadership. And I've made videos about that. I'm not going to recite all the stuff here, but a big part of it was they took money out of very winnable races in Arizona and Ohio and other places, and they put them into races like, I just forgot the name of she's an Alaskan senator, I think, where Lisa Murkowski, she's a rhino. She's barely a Republican at all, but she could have been defeated, except they yanked a bunch of money out of those other state races and threw it at her race, and even though she had a solid America First candidate running against her, she wasn't able to win because the extra money let her boost her over the finish line, right? And it wasn't just in name only. A consulting firm led by senior Trump advisor Susie Wiles paid $285,000 by the RNCs since last June. This is from January 1st. Payments began after Wiles took over Trump's fundraising and endorsement operations. Wiles is now defending Ronald McDaniel for the RNC chair. So he's not just endorsing her by name. He's throwing money at it. And Trump's endorsements, he touted them as, I endorse a candidate and they win, but that didn't really happen. Like, lots of people that he didn't endorse didn't win. And they didn't win in places where they absolutely should have won, where their opponents were, crazy. I mean, Trump lost to Biden, who is a bit of a cabbage. And the only thing worse than losing to a cabbage is losing to a cabbage twice. And when he nominated Dr. Oz was running against John Fetterman, who, does the exact same things Biden does for different reasons, but he does them, and he still won. Like, that takes a special kind of dumb picker to, pick two losses like that. Trump wants to be anti-establishment and drain the swamp, but he takes millions of dollars from Soros and gave senior positions to in his White House to people mentored and connected to Soros. These are all takes from Twitter. I'm not going to post them all. I might post some of them, but I'm just trying to make the case here. Trump hired Christopher Wray as the director of the FBI. If you watch the news at all, There's actions in Congress right now to hold Christopher Wray in, I think, contempt of Congress for withholding documents and not releasing them, even though Congress has subpoenaed them. Christopher Wray has been an all-around terrible director of the FBI. He was the one who gave the green light to go after people at school board meetings and it's DOJ and Merrick Garland, but they're using the resources of the FBI like it's one cohesive unit. And so why did Trump say that he hired Christopher Wray? Well, he said that this is from March 28, 2023, that he did it based on peer pressure from Democrats. That would be Nancy Pelosi and Christie, who is a low-level Republican guy that he runs for president every year, just to, try to rile up the Jersey base or something like that. So to satisfy him and Nancy Pelosi, Trump hired this horrible dude, Christopher Wray, to be the director of the FBI. Like, why wasn't he worried about, who the GOP wanted, or somebody who's going to lead the FBI in a positive direction? And since we're talking about money, we can't talk about money without talking about McCarthy. McCarthy, who Trump supported for the not only his re-election, but for the speakership in the GOP. Trump played a huge influence in keeping people from joining the anti-McCarthy bandwagon. He put a lot of pressure on people to pick McCarthy for Speaker of the House. And as Speaker of the House, McCarthy promised to repeal the funding for 87,000 IRS agents that will undoubtedly target totally right-wing entities, right? So what did Kevin McCarthy actually do? He cut it from $80 billion to $78.1 billion. So instead of having 87,000 IRS agents, it'll be 82,500 and some change. Wow, way to go. Way to freaking go, McCarthy. And let's see. That one was out of order. We'll come back to McCarthy because I got more stuff on him. Trump, I don't know if you guys remember that Democrat governor of New York a long, long time ago, back in 2020, named Cuomo, who was in a whole lot of hot water because, I don't know, you have to go back down memory lane with me here, where he took COVID, one of the most, one of the most deadly diseases at the time known to man, and he put people who were infected with COVID from hospitals and sent them back to their nursing homes where they gave it to everybody else, where they had the highest elderly death rate, I think, in the nation. It was either the highest, one of the highest. Just a ridiculous amount. And Trump is out here praising Cuomo over DeSantis. This is a headline from, let's see, I think this is... All right, yeah, here it is. So this is May 25th, 2023, this year, not just only a couple weeks ago. Trump said, and I'm going to play this part of this video, because people need to hear it.
When the Ron DeSanctimonious facts come out, you will see that he's better than most Democrat governors, but very average at best compared to Republican governors who have done a fantastic job. How about the fact that he had the third most deaths of any state having to do with the China virus or COVID? Even Cuomo did better.
When Ron DeSanctimonious facts come out, you will see that he is better than most Democratic governors, but very average at best compared to Republican governors. Even Cuomo did better. Holy crap. Cuomo, the dude that concealed the deaths of 4,100 people according to an audit by the state comptroller, who forced elderly people who were sick with COVID to go back into the nursing homes, who infected large portions of the population in those nursing homes, who then died. That guy. This is from January 29th of this year. Daniel Horowitz, Trump's White House personally pressured DeSantis to go more aggressive on lockdowns in March 2020. And he was. He was getting bad info, but he was still on the pressure train of, hey, we got to lock down and we got to do mandates because these guys got to get stuff under control. And I don't even remember, but somehow I'll try to find out, because he said that Florida was worse than total deaths than New York, and that's not true. There was a way that those statistics were reported that made it that way, but it's a total hogwash fudging of the numbers. But I'll find where I did that, and I'll put it out when I find it. Don Jr. told people not to boycott Bud Light because they give to the GOP. Trump sided with Disney against DeSantis. Disney gave Trump a $10.5 million PAC. Trump killed his own vaccine safety commission. Pfizer was the biggest health donor to his inauguration. And Trump owns Pfizer stock. He also owns J&J stock. Whoa. Trump's hires versus DeSantis' hire for Surgeon General. This is a headline from the Daily Mail. From DeSantis Surgeon General. Florida's top doctor says men aged 18 to 39 should not get a COVID vaccine because the jab raises risk of cardiac death by 84%. While May 19th of this year, Trump's Surgeon General, Jerome Adams, if you think COVID's over, it's not. If you think we're seeing anything more than the tip of the iceberg, you're mistaken. If you think it won't impact you or someone you care about, you're wrong. And not only do you have stuff like Jerome Adams, but Trump was the one who platformed Fauci. And it wasn't that he didn't have any other options. He did. In 2017, Trump had approached Robert Kennedy Jr. Doing a commission on the safety of vaccines, just vaccines in general. He could have talked to him. He did have Dr. Atlas in his ear for the preliminary weeks, and he totally shut him out and went with Dr. Fauci. Trump totally had options, and at every turn, he promoted deep state thinkers and organizers to positions of power and put them in charge. Trump surrounds himself with bad company. In January, Trump, right after he launched his campaign for re-election, was campaigning with Lindsey Graham. The day after Ronald Romney is elected to the RNC chair with Trump's backing, Trump gives a full-throated endorsement of Lindsey Graham, noted right here.
And a friend of mine for a long time. We don't always agree, but that's okay too. But he's a great guy, a great politician actually, and a terrific person who loves your state, Senator Lindsey Graham. Thank you, Lindsey.
Trump gives his seal of approval to all kinds of rhinos and people who are establishment and who are not trying to make America great again, who are in fact just trying to go along to their controlled opposition, including Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, Ron McDaniel, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, and I already mentioned Anthony Fauci. And so you would think that someone who was actually trying to drain the swamp, actually trying to stand against the establishment, in order to do that, he wouldn't put the swamp and the establishment in charge of draining itself. He wouldn't give them money. He wouldn't take their money. He wouldn't campaign for them. He wouldn't plat for them. And yet, we're left with McDaniel, McCarthy, and McConnell. The same leaders, all courtesy of Trump. And this, I'm going to throw this map up here. This is a thread from Tyler Bowyer. Ooh, I think it's Bowyer. And he is on the, I forgot what he's on, but he's kind of a big dude in the GOP, especially out in Arizona. And I think he voted on who was going to be the chairman. He's one of the ones that does that. But he put out this map a while back, and this is from March 9th, and it shows the electoral map as it voted in 2022. And basically, if you look at it, and then this is what a Republican, not just Trump if he wins, but what any GOP candidate has to do. And the GOP totally abandoned Arizona last 2022. Totally went blue, all the way down the board in their state elections, from governor all the way down. So they're going to California, Arizona, outside of some miracle. So it's probably going to be blue. That leaves 4 swing states: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. In 2020, there were shenanigans in Pennsylvania, there were shenanigans in Georgia, which kind of leaves you at North Carolina and Wisconsin. Like, maybe you can win those. Wisconsin doesn't typically vote red all the time. But you have to win 3 out of 4 of those in order to get to 270 without Arizona. With Arizona, you still have to win 2 out of the 4, and you can't split the Iowa votes, or I think it's the Maine votes. And what's the big talking point from Trump? They stole my election. Like, nothing is being done to mobilize voters or do get out the votes or put in the ballot harvesting things where you could ballot harvest. You don't hear anything or see anything about that kind of thing being done. And it's really telling, because Trump is just out for self-vindication. He doesn't care about the country. He just cares about Trump. And maybe I should have seen that a long time ago, but I see it now, and so I'm saying something. Like, you can't unsee it. And so, to people who are, either struggling with, who to vote for, or who, maybe you're, have been drinking the Trump Kool-Aid. I hope this is a wake-up call to, jolt us to our senses and really look at a candidate for what he's worth and try to understand what he's going to do and what he's capable of doing. And when it comes to standing up to the establishment and draining the swamp, I don't see a clear-cut case at all for that being Trump. And that's the stuff between my ears. Stay savvy.